Hugh Munro was born October 3, 1936, the son of Louis and Dorothy Munro. He grew up in several small rural towns in Manitoba and settled in Oak Bluff in his teenage years. Throughout his life, he always had a competitive spirit.
You know, him and his friend, I remember one story where his friend was on, they were racing one of these big, these big trucks, and all of a sudden, he was beating my dad, and next thing he looked, he's in his mirror, and there's my dad coming down in the ditch, trying to pass him on the ditch. So again, that wouldn't be very much appreciated today, but in those days, it was like he was so competitive, and he was going to win no matter what it took to get him there, right? So, and he worked at the local garage station, and he liked fast cars and doing all things that he likely shouldn't have done, but he had lots of fun in those days too, I think, with a lot of good friends.
In 1959, the same year his daughter was born, he started Hugh Munro Construction with just one machine.
So as I was a little girl, anytime he bought a low bed or a half-ton truck or a machine, let's put the child on there so we can make sure that we get both in and, get the picture. So he tricked me a lot because we used to live on Cloutier Drive, and that's where a lot of families used to come out in toboggan. And, you'd see, and I go, Dad, can't you take me tobogganing? And he'd go, well, he says, you're more special than going up and down the hill. Do you look at those kids, they got to walk up and down the hill. He says, I'll tie you behind my Ford on a toboggan, and we'll go down Cloutier Drive and just hang on, right? So I thought, oh, I'm so special, until one day a dog took after me. And he didn't know whether to stop. He said, if I stopped, the dog would have mauled you and eaten you. Or I just put the pedal to the metal and took off, and this poor kid's hanging on for dear life. And it only was later on that I realized it wasn't about me walking up and down the hill. He didn't want to walk up and down the hill. So he was very inventive of trying to make what was fun, right?
Hugh built his business up slowly. In 1979, he incorporated and expanded his business the following year with the purchase of a crushing operation. That allowed him to expand into northwestern Ontario and northern Manitoba.
Some of my earliest memories of being with my dad and hanging out with him going to work was, we actually had workers that we would put up in the hotels. They lived on Main Street, and we would pick them up to go to a job. And it really taught me, it gave